Hello, and welcome back to Therapist Plays, Doki Doki Literature Club Side Stories. Okay, it's time to dive into the second part of Understanding. And as I look at the list of remaining episodes here, it's like 9 more of these. The series is going to end up being 30 episodes long, which is not a bad thing at all. But I think it makes it the second longest running series on this channel so far. Someday I think something will surpass the 70 plus of Disco Elysium, but it's a rare game that deserves this much of a deep dive, and this one surely does. So let's dive into part 2 of Understanding. For the first time, Sayori is first to enter the clubroom. Ooh, just from the first line, that is such a huge change for Sayori, who is always late. Everything I talked about in the last episode was about how difficult it is to change behaviors, even those that you want to change and that you know will be good for you. For someone like Sayori, who we know struggles with behavioral activation and some executive functioning, this is how important it is to her to make this up to Yuri, to clear up the misunderstandings and make this like a better, more inviting club for her. Everything that she had to do to make this happen is so outside of her typical behavioral range, like probably going to sleep a little bit earlier, getting up on time, getting herself dressed, ready. Like, there's probably so many things outside of her typical routine that she had to do to pull this off, which says a lot about her character, of course, but also how much she's willing to push herself for someone that she really just met. We also know that Yuri is going to come back into the scene, and I think for her as well, this is kind of a huge thing. And I was thinking about this after all the talk of neurodivergence in the last episode, that Sayori is probably the perfect person to overcome this obstacle of understanding with, because she's basically like a puppy. Like, she's gonna love you by default. That's just her personality. She is so excited to meet new people and is willing to immediately take on their interests, even if they're overwhelming for her. So what a perfect person, where there's not likely to be much consequence for a misunderstanding, whereas many other people that Yuri could meet might judge her, might, after the first encounter from the last episode, call her weird, strange, never talk to her again, gossip about her, like all the shit that people do at school and outside of school, at work. These behaviors don't stop in school for a lot of people. And we also know from some of the early dialogue with Natsuki that she was kind of judgmental of Yuri, critiquing her for the way that she looks and dresses, trying to present herself a certain way to anime Brady, wanting to seem sophisticated and all that. I'm sure Yuri has had a lot of experiences closer to that and worse. But for her to still come back to the club and still try to make things right, or just to try again, both of them just coming into this setting to try and do different things than they're used to, because they care about the club and about each other, even though they really just met. I think it's quite amazing for both of them. Anxiety courses through her relentlessly. Will Yuri show up today? Sitting at a desk, she stamps her feet in an attempt to calm down. Why am I letting this affect me so much? I'm doing everything I can to make Yuri happy. But my best wasn't good enough. Well, it's not entirely your problem to solve either. This is an aspect of Yuri's character that she doesn't understand yet, that you are not the cause of Yuri's own insecurities, and that shouldn't be the cause for your own. It's so interesting, though, that my interpretation of her showing up early is oh, how great. She's overcoming a lot of difficult things, but Sayori's coming in thinking that she's a failure. I've talked about this in other series as well, for deeper trauma work, where you have to sort of reattach the elements of resilience and adaptability to someone's narrative, but you would also want to start doing that here. And probably even more importantly to do so, because it's such a small scale event. It's just something happening on an average day. I actually don't want to address her anxiety at all in a situation like this. If I identify that there's something distinct about Sayori today, she's early. Yes, she's extremely anxious, and that's kind of the cause or the thrust of some of those behaviors. But instead of trying to calm her down, what I would actually ask her is, What did you have to overcome to get here so early? How did you manage to use that anxious energy to get yourself here and to put all this energy into, trying to improve the club? Because that's naturally going to make her start thinking about what she did that's different. Oh, well, I had to like get up early and I had to like really put my clothes on. And these are all different than what she's used to. She's used to waking up late and scrambling and all of this stuff. So I want her to see that, yes, she's anxious. That's not a great feeling. But what did you have to overcome to get to this point? Because this point is an improvement in some area of your life that historically you've really struggled with. And I don't have to convince her of that if I'm just, instead of engaging her on the presence of anxiety, just asking her, like, what did you overcome to get here? How did you accomplish that? What were the steps that you took? Because eventually we can proceed from there and say, okay, is there a way to repeat that? Can we operationalize some of those steps that you took? Because she may come out of that saying, oh, I guess I am capable actually of doing some of these self-care and routine things when I have the right incentive. And it's not that I'm like damaged or broken inside or I don't care about things. It's clearly that there's a certain incentive that allowed her to do this. It was not wanting to disappoint her new friend. We don't want that to be her only motivator, but today it was enough. But it was still my best. But I'm letting everyone down. I'm always just a disappointment. God damn it, Sayori! I just want to shake her and let her know how many times she's impressed me over the course of these 20 plus episodes. That's why you need to reattach those things that she's completely overlooked, because otherwise this is what she's consolidating about herself. She's completely missing the fact that she is here early. That is amazing. Like 1% is what I asked for in the last episode, and getting here on time, that's like 25% improvement, at least, if not more. You're amazing. Sayori continues to wrestle with her self-deprecating thoughts. Every tiny noise causes her to lift her head in anticipation of Yuri's arrival. Minutes pass, and nobody enters the clubroom. Not Yuri, not Monica. Gosh, I'm so late. Why did I offer to help those other students with their work? I'm such a pushover sometimes. That's a very different side of Monica as well. I mean, we've known her to be helpful, even like in the sort of corrupted world of the main game. She likes to give out writing tips, but yeah, I never saw her as a pushover. It's going to leave such a bad impression on new club members like Yuri. I'm not the first one there. Monica rounds the corner, approaching the clubroom. As she does so, Yuri? Ah! Yuri jumps at the sound of Monica's voice. She's sitting outside the clubroom, against the wall next to the door. Embarrassed, she quickly closes the book she was reading and stands up. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry I'm late. You didn't have to wait outside for me. The door to the clubroom is open. It's not... Yuri stammers, unable to explain herself. She peers inside the clubroom through the window, then looks away. She's just seeing Sayori freaking out in there and just too anxious to go in. Oh, it's so adorable. Actually, I was wondering if I could help you today instead. Ah, yes. The fears of confrontation. Even though this is like pretty mild on the scale of confrontation, for Yuri, it's a big thing. Same question for her, really. This works so well for people who feel like they're not doing enough, and especially if they feel like they're not doing anything or they're actively doing things terribly, is to ask that same question I would ask Sayori. What did you have to overcome to get to this point? Even if this point is I haven't done anything yet, there is still a lot of valuable stuff that we're overlooking, which is I really thought about the conversation. I really dug deep into what I said that might have been wrong. I tried to think of Sayori's perspective. I brought myself here. I prepared on what I would say. Like, she's done a lot of stuff that's probably uncharacteristic for her or that was difficult. And yes, she stopped short of like the big thing that she needs to do, like go in and talk to her about it. But there's no sense in calling the rest of it useless. And I know that this works because I've been in situations where I've been talking to someone who is like talking about this maybe being their last day and that sort of thing. And that question was the start of a conversation that kind of pulled them towards recognizing a lot of value in themselves, at least in those moments. You know, I don't know what happened after that. That's unfortunately, you know, the life of therapists. Like, you don't always know how your work plays out in the long term. But in a moment of critical self-doubt, that question started a conversation. What did you have to overcome to get here today and to talk about this with me? Because it just naturally puts you on the track of recognizing the things that you did that were extremely difficult, that prior to engaging with them, you may have taken for granted as actual skills that you have, resilience that you've demonstrated, and willingness to overcome what might seem like small challenges, but they are challenges. I had to bring myself here. I had to talk about something that was difficult. I had to really dig deep into what I was feeling, and I had to let go of some of the fears of telling someone. Like, it might seem like nothing, but it's kind of a lot. Sayori and Yuri are both in that situation where they both feel like they're failing miserably, and even Monica as well. But if you're doing something different than you've done before, you should actually try to understand what you did that brought you there, because that's already evidence of growth, and there's probably insight there into how to carry it forward. Huh? Me? Club publicity stuff? Yes! Monica's utterly confused. Why is Yuri asking this all of a sudden when she was so eager to spend time with Sayori before? Did they not get along after all? Monica looks into the clubroom herself to see Sayori sitting alone inside. Okay, it's kind of a simple job, but I'd be happy for you to tag along. Me too. Monica's worried. She finds it difficult to insert herself into whatever conflict that may have arisen. It's a little ironic, she realizes, that she could be so conflict avoidant after having been in the debate club. Okay, let's take a walk together. I just have to make copies of this new flyer, then go around the billboards and replace the old ones with new ones. Yuri nods, and the two set off. The two walk in silence. Okay, this is another opportunity. And I see these as opportunities. Like, it's so easy to overlook this stuff. But this is another asset-focused question, like I talked about in the Sayori Monica episodes. One way to approach this therapeutically would be to go into the avoidance and, you know, how Yuri procrastinated and delayed going in to talk to Sayori because she can't overcome the confrontation. And this is like, well, it's quite negative on her character. And ultimately, I don't know how helpful it would be. It's more likely to make her feel more upset, because going into that stuff when Yuri is not really at the point where she can withstand that level of self-critique to also do something about it, like, that kind of pursuit works better later in the stages of therapy, where recognizing some negative aspect of myself isn't like piling onto a mountain of negative self-evaluation that's already there. Like, it's just gonna make her feel bad. So I wouldn't talk about how she's avoiding Sayori. What I would talk about is, wow, Monica's like kind of a big personality. How did you manage hanging out with her all day? That must have been really difficult. Like, what did you have to do? What did you have to tell yourself? How did you have to behave differently than you're used to? Like, there's so many active strengths that she's exploring just to be around Monica, which, yes, it is avoiding Sayori, but it's still new behaviors. And for someone who is typically avoidant of new behaviors, why ask them to reflect deeply on that and potentially just make them ashamed of themselves when you can identify that, yes, in the process of avoidance, there's like new behaviors that are actually pretty impressive for her. And then to say, okay, you know, are any of those things new skills that we can refine and use for this other thing that you're kind of struggling with? Confrontation. So this is a great opportunity, even though it's like kind of an awkward moment. Without Sayori, Monica finds it quite difficult to strike up conversation. So, how's everything been going? Fine. That's good. Neither of them follow up with anything more. Monica tenses up at the stinted conversation. How the heck does Sayori do it? Sorry I didn't see you yesterday. I went straight to the computer lab to work on the flyers. Sayori told me. What did you two end up doing yesterday? Just some reading. Oh, I'm glad. It's really starting to feel more like a literature club now. Yeah. It's kind of funny. I felt so intimidated at first when I heard about the kind of reading you were into. But you know, it's kind of stupid of me because I'm just intimidated by things I'm not good at. That's a very insightful thing to say. And it's silly to assume that everyone who comes into the club will just have the same interests as me. It's so cool that you were able to get Sayori into it. It's like the club is working. I'm really happy about that. She's not into it. Huh? She's not into it. And I'm stupid for forcing it onto her. This is the stuff that breaks my heart. It's so easy for these girls to tell themselves that they're stupid, disappointing, like, even this. The idea that you forced it onto her, it's so sad. And I'm not really that sad about it because this is putting them on the path to working on these things. But it's hard not to see this, like, from the therapist lens, that there's kind of two issues usually going on here. One is like the thing that they're struggling with, the misunderstanding. But it's hard to isolate that and work on it when in its way is this like really negative self-bias that even if I start to work on the other thing, this usually starts coming up. And so you have to deal with it first. The person has to have some esteem that like doesn't interrupt understanding what the cause of the issue is, because both of them are just looking at themselves. And that's what makes me sad, because they have no right to be so down on themselves. Yuri falls silent again, as if she started her thought. I can't figure out how to continue it. Did something happen? Yuri sighs. No, it's just me. No! Even Monica can't break through. Yuri pauses. I'm thinking. A moment passes in silence. Then Yuri shakes her head. I shouldn't be complaining to you all of a sudden. Don't be silly. I don't think you're complaining. I just want to make sure you feel welcome. If it's important to that, then you can tell me anything. And we love a supportive Monica. She's so different in these side stories. She's actually a really solid friend. Her pose of confidence just takes on such a different meaning when it's being used to like demonstrate to someone who may have difficulty reading nonverbal cues that I'm here for you and I'm not going to budge on that. It's beautiful. Well, I do feel welcome. Too welcome, I guess. It's not an issue with the club. It's just an issue with me. So I feel wrong to inconvenience you with it. Monica pauses and thinks. Well, what if we put it this way? It's my job as president to understand the needs of the club members, right? We're going to have all kinds of people joining this club, hopefully anyway. And learning about the diverse needs and interests of everyone will help me come up with the club activities that everyone can be happy with. That everyone can be happy with? Not just only some people? Of course. I need to be looking out for everyone. Otherwise, what kind of club would it be? I see. Yuri looks a little more relaxed. It signals to Monica that switching from a sympathetic approach to a pragmatic one is a good choice. That's a very good pickup from Monica there. I like the way that she did that. That seemed to really put Yuri at ease. Possibly because she understands at an easier level Monica exercising her role and as a function of the club, how that would impact someone like Yuri to her benefit. There's a very sort of linear connection between those things for her. What's harder to understand is like, why does this person who I barely just met care about me? That's hard to compute. I think even for most people, especially if you've not had a lot of success socially before. Each individual truly does have their own needs. Okay. Yuri takes a deep breath. I'm a really weird and awkward person. I've accepted that about myself. I just don't know how to, I guess, connect with other people. It's so easy for everyone else. How do you just make conversation about any arbitrary topic? I can talk for hours about the things that I'm into. Fortunately, so much that I don't know how to stop. Or anything else, I just have no idea what to say. So I understand that about myself. just not good with people. Can't help it. So it feels like whenever I'm confronted with a new social situation, I'm either ignored or made fun of or taken pity on. So yeah, kind of what I was suggesting. The evidence that people are sincere in how they interact with her is probably pretty minimal. They find her off-putting, they judge her, or even this, like, to take pity on, it's more of that, oh, how sad for you, how poor are you. That's why I lean so much into these sort of asset-related ideas. I don't see it as taking pity on someone to say, wow, like, you overcame a lot to do this thing that's new to you. You have all of this evidence that says social situations are hard for you. And yet here you are putting yourself in actually three new social situations that are exceedingly more complex than what you're used to. Those being a new relationship with Sayori, a new relationship with Monica, and then a relationship with like both of them in the club. I consider that 3 types of situation that she's in. And she's on her way to figuring them out. Like, she's not a master of them, of course. But despite all of this evidence that she's like bad at it and that they don't go well, she's still trying anyways. And she's overcoming a lot of existing issues for her just to be in this situation. Just the fact that she has put herself in it and struggling inside of it, but that's not pitiful. Like, that's impressive. It's impressive for someone who, by all accounts, you know, has enough history with this stuff to just not bother. And Sayori falls into that 3rd category. What? Hold on. You're saying that Sayori's taking pity on you? Yuri nods. I just want to be treated like a normal person. If you don't like me or you don't connect with my interests, then just tell me. I can accept that and move on. Sayori is too nice to me. I'm so stupid for not realizing that she would just go along with whatever I pushed onto her. So she's not seeing that that's Sayori's own shit coming up. Like, Sayori is just too dependent on people-pleasing. It's not that she's really taking pity on you. Nobody deserves to put themselves through that kind of discomfort just because they pity some weirdo who doesn't know how to make friends. It's the worst feeling. I hate it. Yuri's sharp words cut through the tense air. Somewhere in the middle of the conversation, the two stop short in the hallway, prioritizing the conversation over their original task. Monica looks at Yuri. Yuri only looks down, with her fists clenched. I think you should tell her that. I can never say that to someone's face. It's pathetic. Sayori's different. Yes, she is different. Making people happy is the most important thing to her. I'm sure that's all she's trying to do. So, if you're able to explain to her what makes you happy, then she'll do anything to make it happen. That's true. It's great of Monica to recognize that. And she's still using this pragmatic language with Yuri that she already clocked as working for her. That's the problem. What kind of friendship has one person always trying to cater to the other person's weird needs? I'm sorry. Making myself sound so... No, I think I'm starting to understand. Monica hesitates to finish her thought out loud. It's something that Sayori would be able to say better. Sayori is someone who will give anyone however much kindness they need in order to smile. But Yuri, who has difficulty accepting kindness, must be driving Sayori to be even more assertive in her kindness, further exacerbating the matter. This is a great deduction of the situation there, Monica. Neither person is to blame, but it's an issue that can't be resolved without them understanding each other better. Sayori wants to be your friend. I promise that. It's okay for different people to have different needs. I mean, Sayori, she has her own needs too. But good friends work together, and they can be what they need for each other. You just have to have good communication and talk about it. I don't have good communication. Yuri stops and shakes her head. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. It's just... It's so resistant to everything. I'm pushing such a kind person away from me because of it. Yuri pauses to think. I'm so tired of this cycle I'm creating for myself. I think I'm so afraid of people pushing me away that I push them away first. How thoughtless and immature of me. Yuri takes a deep breath and exhales. I didn't mean for this to turn into a whole venting session. But I understand now that I just need to communicate with her. So again, another missed opportunity, okay? Yuri is coding what she's doing right now as I'm being annoying to Monica. I'm venting without permission, or like I'm overburdening. I'm making myself seem pathetic. I'm bringing like a negative energy to this thing. I'm bringing Sayori down. Forget all that, okay? Yuri, how did you give yourself permission to be so direct with your feelings with Monica? Another type of asset-focused question. How did you give yourself permission to make that decision? Because it's so subtle. Like, it's such a small thing, but it helps us to see that even the smallest decisions require some methodology, some assessment of the situation, especially a social one that she finds herself like inept at. But what did she have to do to give herself permission to do that? Something that she struggles with, being direct. I would really want her to say, well, I realized that Monica was someone I could trust. How did you do that? What were the things that you realized? How did you learn to trust her? What did you identify? Why? Because that's helping Yuri see that she actually is pretty good at reading parts of people. Well, maybe it was part of her posture. Maybe it was her tone of voice. Maybe it was, even though I tried to back out of the conversation, Monica, gave me more room. She didn't judge me. Like, what did Yuri have to do? She had to reflect on her history. She had to understand who Monica was, give herself permission to try something she's historically not been good at, to synthesize like the qualities of a very like strong personality and still go forward with it anyways. Like, what's happening right now is its own improvement to her communication skills and social dynamics. She just thinks she's being a loser, though. Like, that's awful to me. That's so easy to miss. So how did you give yourself permission to make that choice? It's a very small thing to give yourself permission for, but it's clearly taking a lot, right? She is overcoming something just to do this. It's hard to see that because we're distracted by the fact that we're doing this after reaching kind of a breaking point, and it's surrounding another problem. Like, she's very focused on the Sayori problem, that she's not seeing the strength she's actually demonstrating right here, right now. And I love those kinds of questions because you don't have to get into analyzing her problems with communication or even really educating the person on how to do it better. You're literally having them discover, by zooming into behaviors they're often already doing, to see some strengths and then trying to build on those. Okay, now that we've identified what you did to give yourself permission to talk to Monica and be direct with her, do you think we could adjust that process for a bigger task, like confronting Sayori? Can we go through the same steps, since you're familiar with them now and they helped you be more at ease, and try them again? This is what helps teach the LHB and that part of ourselves that really struggles with increasing manageability of things, scaling it up to bigger tasks that seem overwhelming right now. You're totally fine. It's for the club, remember? Just helping make the club a better place for everyone. Yeah. Yuri falls silent again. She looks like she wants to say something. This kind of critical thinking is something that I'm really bad at. How can you say that? Look what is happening right now. You're doing so much of it right now. Do not overlook the fact that you're talking to Monica right now about this thing, which requires lots of critical thinking and lots of communication and lots of directness and lots of being in touch with your own feelings. Like, girl, you're doing amazing. About people. Did you have to use any critical thinking to bring that up with Monica? Yes. Yes, I did, she would say, enthusiastically. So thank you. Anytime. Monica smiles at Yuri. For just a moment, Yuri finds it in herself to meet Monica's gaze. Yet another improvement, returning a shy smile of her own. Yeah, just the fact of making eye contact. We see her sprite so often looking away. I would want to make sure that she captures that moment and remembers it. That was a moment of consolidation of all of the things that she just did to make that conversation happen, which is now going to spark yet another improvement when she talks to Sayori. I know that we're going to get there because I already know, based on the last side story, that these wrap up, pretty positively. So it's all going to work out. But along the journey, I would hope that Yuri recognizes, like, the scene we just saw is actually already pretty good. Yuri and Monica finished replacing the old flyers with the new ones. More accurately, Monica mostly did the work, while Yuri followed along. But as the clubroom once again draws near, so does Yuri's confrontation. I like that little detail that, like, Monica was still a little bit of a control freak about some things. I can't do this. Yes, you can. It'll be great. Yuri sighs and shakes her head. I'm never going to feel confident enough. I just have to do it. If I don't do it now, I never will. That's right! Yuri starts towards the door, then turns to face Monica. You're not just going to wait outside, are you? I can take a walk. Want me to get you a coffee or something? Actually, I prefer tea. I like to make my own, though, so please don't worry about it. Although, I suppose that's one downside of reading here in the club rather than at home. I don't get to drink tea while reading. Sorry, because that has nothing to do with this. Jeez, I love the way she gets sidetracked. Now that you mention it, I bet we could get permission to keep stuff like stuff for tea in the clubroom. Oh, that's so sweet. That Monica is the one who got that to happen. Especially when I recall that during the main game, it was like when Yuri went to get tea, that she like said a bunch of nasty stuff about her. In a way, these side stories are like, they're helping us heal from the trauma of the main game by giving us like new neurosynaptic connections to these story elements that are much, much happier. You can use like an electric kettle to heat up water, right? Would that really be possible? I'll look into it. I think it'd be great. Yuri smiles and nods at the thought. Well, I'll be back in a bit. Good luck. Monica waves at Yuri, then turns around and departs down the hallway as Yuri's smile fades once more. A moment of daydreaming about tea isn't enough to save her from the anxiety of the task that lies before her. But it must be done. Taking one more deep breath, Yuri timidly opens the clubroom door. Yuri! Wait, hold on. I'm not done yet. Sayori shuffles a bunch of papers around. Yuri stammers. Her words suddenly caught in her throat. At that moment, she realizes how Sayori has been spending her afternoon. I wasn't expecting you to come today. I was really hoping to make it all the way through the next chapter first. Oh, I did predict this. It's so sad. Yeah, funny sad. But I got most of the way through it. And look! Sayori holds up a sheet of paper. It's a page of notes. Beautifully produced with indentations, categories, and even color coding. Oh, she's such an overachiever. As Yuri sees it, her expression shifts from anxiety to despair. I was afraid you were getting disappointed in me, so I've been trying really hard. Stop. Yuri presses her fists against her forehead. Please stop. Can't take this. Yuri? Sayori's voice quivers in shock after having received the exact opposite response she was expecting. I'm sorry. Sayori looks away in guilt. No. Oh. They are like the perfect concoction to ignite each other's insecurities, but also like the perfect blend of healing elements. There's a word that I really like from the therapy world that I think really goes beyond that setting and plays a big role in just how we connect to people in general, which is attunement. Between therapist and client, you have to develop rapport, which is like generally being able to trust one another in the process, and that's really important if you're going to do difficult work with one another. But attunement is kind of an emotional understanding of the other person. The therapist has to be attuned with the client because picking up on changes in emotion, nonverbal cues, and other subtle things is how you be responsive and present with the person. And so it means something in that world because that's your role as a professional. But I think it's also something that exists in friendships and any kind of other relationship where emotion is at the center of trust, which, I mean, that is every relationship. And so these two, they're not quite there yet. In the same way that in the therapeutic context, you could have the best techniques and the best insight, and you could be working on the things that you're supposed to be working on with a client, and it could like not really be helping at all because there's no attunement. The relationship between client and therapist is not formed well enough with the right professional boundaries and everything else to where that work can really take place. And that can be really frustrating because then the person can start to think, well, this therapy is not working for me, or, maybe I'm like the problem in this. But no, a lot of times good therapy can happen, but attunement's not there. There has to be a connection in some ways. And these two, they do connect on certain things. And they both want the same thing. They want to be friends. They, want to make the club an interesting place, but they're not able to really understand the other person's emotional space yet. Sayori thinks she's disappointing Yuri, which is like the last thing Yuri is really thinking about. And this is more attention and responsibility on someone else's emotional state than Yuri is really asking for or can handle. And so before really sorting out the problem, they need to be more attuned to one another. And I think that's what we saw between Monica and Yuri, actually, in the last scene, was Monica was pretty attuned. She was attentive and understanding that, like, one approach was not working with Yuri, the sympathetic approach. And so she changed it to a pragmatic one. And when that worked, she proceeded with that, while still remaining sympathetic. Actually, that was very clever of her. She didn't, like, discard sympathy. She just kind of changed up the strategy in a way. God, Monica's brilliant. She really is. She also picked up on, like, okay, Yuri wants me to take a walk, and she's starting to anticipate basically Yuri's needs because she's really working to try to understand them. And she's doing that because she's the president. In fact, I know this is about Sayori and Yuri, but I can't help but think Monica is actually really good at attuning to people. I think that's what makes her so effective in her relationships, and sometimes in a negative way. Like, she has such strong attunement and understanding of people that she was able to manipulate and, be destructive in those relationships as well. So she used her powers for ill instead of for good. But here, it's just for good. But she did the same with Sayori, and now we've seen it with Yuri, that it didn't take much, actually, to get Yuri to a point where she was able to tap into some innate ability to be more direct and confrontational. Like, that's not a new thing she has to learn here in this moment with Sayori. She already did it. What's in the way is not her capacity to do it. It's there isn't that kind of attunement with Sayori yet. There isn't a sense of trust that I can say what I feel and Sayori won't have her own crisis because of it. What she's seeing right here is that Sayori is highly impressionable and takes on guilt when she feels like she's let someone down. So if Yuri were to open up right now, as their relationship is, yeah, she can see that it would be a problem for Sayori. So I'm kind of curious how they're going to find that before this gets sorted out. Did I do something wrong? I don't understand. So if I did something wrong, please tell me. Yuri shakes her head. No, it's me. I keep putting myself in these situations where people are afraid to treat me normally. If you don't like this kind of reading, that's okay. Please just tell me. I don't need to be treated differently just because I'm weird. But I don't treat you differently. Yeah, she treats everyone like this. I just want my friends to be happy. So I thought that if we did something together that you really like, I don't want your pity. Why did I do that? Yuri sinks to her knees. Her voice squeaks. I'm sorry. Tears of guilt and self-loathing begin to stream down her face. This isn't how it was supposed to go. It's so hard to just articulate your thoughts. Why do you end up pushing everyone away from you? So far, not true though. Didn't push Monica away. Yuri's mind pounds with internal accusations as she shuts her eyes, unable to face Sayori or the rest of the world. She should leave. Just escape from here before Monica sees her like this, and before Sayori tells Monica what she did. But before Yuri can put any strength into her legs, she feels a warm pair of arms gently wrap around her from behind. No. It's okay. Sayori whispers in a soothing voice. It's okay. It's okay. Overcome by despair, Yuri finds herself unable to protest or pull away from Sayori's kind gesture. Yuri sniffles, breathing heavily through a clenched throat, trying with all her willpower to control herself. I understand. I understand the things you're feeling in your head are different from the things you're trying to say. I know that must be what you're feeling right now. I promise. I understand that. And I know that she really does. And this is helping so much more. I mean, she's really found the thing that they connect with, rather than trying to attach herself to things that Yuri's connected with, but that Sayori's really not. And this is where they're going to find their attunement. So I'll give you as much time as you need. When you're ready, just tell me your feelings and we'll talk about them together. Okay? Yuri sniffles again and nods her head. She gives herself a moment to compose her thoughts and speaks while steadying her voice. So, once again, that is another wonderful thing that Yuri does that I don't even know if she would think of it that way. Almost like 4 times in this episode, she has paused to think before she says something. And that kind of reflects on something I talked about in the Sayori Monica story about. Was there ever a time where you paused before you did something? Whether it's a negative or a positive behavior, the fact that you paused, and in this sense, it's to compose her thoughts, it does mean she has some command over how she articulates herself. That she's not just babbling uncontrollably with no insight to the emotions behind it. Multiple times she's paused to collect herself or to think through things or to try to say something again. And here she says she's not a good communicator. It's like one of the most important things you can do is give yourself enough time to really think about what you want to say. I think that I've gotten so used to people being weirded out by me that it was like anyone who's nice to me is just doing it out of pity. I'm so horrible with people. This is so not true. Oh, she has such a wrong idea about it. From my perspective, I see a lot of things that she's actually great with. I think a big part of it is she didn't find the right people, because within days of meeting Monica and Sayori, she's had really strong connections with them. So I just don't see how this is true, considering how much success she's had just in this single day. So it makes me not want to believe that someone can actually like me for who I am. Yuri pauses, but Sayori doesn't interrupt. Rather, she waits for Yuri to continue. And here these two think that they're terrible at this. God, it frustrates me so deeply. I got so excited when I joined the literature club. I thought that it was finally my chance to make friends through my interests, because my interests are the only things I know how to talk about. It's all I have going for me. She actually has so many of these ideas. So many storylines about how incapable and incomplete and how small the list of her strengths is. It's fucking tragic for someone who's like actually really capable, who's trying really hard and finding success, to think stuff like this. But then whenever I catch myself getting overly obsessive in front of other people, it just feels like I'm making a fool of myself. I hate myself for it. Ultimately, I just want to be treated like a normal person. How am I supposed to expect that when I can't behave like one? It kills me inside. Both of these people have such wonderful characters and have such a positive impact on the people around them. And then they're living in this world where like they're like the worst person on the planet. It's unfortunately a reality for a lot of people, but that's kind of why I so prefer trying to help people see the good in themselves and what they're capable of. Not to say that there's never anything wrong with people. Of course there is. Like, we all have shit to work on. But I would so much rather the starting point when you're working on yourself to be a strength, because how else are you going to believe that you can do it? How else are you supposed to be optimistic about your chances of changing if you can't identify some good things about yourself? And everyone has them. I just don't think we're as good at finding them. Thankfully, if you find the right people in life, they usually are pretty good at finding them. It's much easier for someone else to be inspired by you than to be inspired by yourself. And I think that's why friendships are so important. I want to learn how to get along with people. Stop ruining things for myself. That's all. Yuri finishes her thoughts, feeling more steady after having gotten them out. Sayori, who can feel Yuri's breath rise and fall from beneath her arms, realizes that as well. Thank you for helping me understand you a little better. You know, you were so great at helping me while we were reading, so I'll help you with the things that you need to. But I feel like it would just be frustrating for you how much patience I require sometimes. Sounds kind of familiar. I couldn't stop worrying about that while we were reading. I was so afraid you would get frustrated with me. But I would never do that. I did my best to reassure you by mentioning how I have a lot of patience. Yeah, I know, but my irrational fears just won't be quiet sometimes. I'm sure it's the same for you, right? Yeah. Irrational fears. Well, you know, there's no way that you could frustrate me because I already like you as the person that you are. I know you said you have a hard time believing that, but I promise that it's true. You don't have to be a social person for people to like you. I think you're really considerate in your own way, you know? Worrying so much about people's feelings. All kind of weird. It's a literature club. But it's the best part, that we're all different and have different interests. Like, about the book. I'm reading it because I want to. I promise. It's what I really want. It's a bit of a struggle, but try not to mistake that for me not enjoying it. I mean, we can never discover new things if we didn't try them first, right? I want to learn the reasons that you love it so much. And in the end, if it's not for me, then I can say that, but I'll be glad that I tried it and learned more about you. Plus, you're like super duper smart. And I want that to rub off on me. Oh, she is such a sweetheart. This is why I'm struggling with the like self-defeating comments that they have. They're just so amazing as people. Yeah, Sayori has to like learn how to develop some independent self-worth. Yuri definitely can improve her communication and how she responds to people, and she can work on picking up social cues, and like they have a lot of stuff to work on. But how is it that a person comes to hate themselves in spite of so many awesome things about them? Well, I know what that's like as well. As an ex-self-hating person, I get it too. When I look back on it, I had no business being so down on myself either. And it's why it's so important to me, both therapeutically but also personally, for people to learn a different way of thinking about themselves and being able to see the things that they're actually really good at. Because it was a big blind spot for me for a long time. Yuri fights back a smile at that comment. Already, the heavy atmosphere surrounding her seems to have evaporated through the caress of Sayori's arms. Your hair is so pretty. Oh. I always wanted long hair, but it was awful at taking care of it, so I cut it all off. Yuri's tension relaxes. For once, she feels it's okay just listening, rather than worrying so much about saying the right thing. Sayori, sensing Yuri's comfort, lets her rest. It must be so difficult for her to feel relaxed around other people. But if the literature club can make it happen, then it's something that she deserves to experience. Ah, it's so sweet. Well then, based on my understanding of your feelings, I suppose I wouldn't mind if we were to continue reading. That's what I wanted to hear. But we can stop at any time. If you truly don't like it, please be honest about it. I won't be offended. Of course, I'm not going to judge anything this early on, though, so we'll just see what happens. Oh, and what a perfect demonstration of what attunement is all about. So many relationships, friendships, couples, whatever, break down not because of people's ability to explain themselves, or even whether you have a justification to feel a certain way. It's because at a fundamental level, there isn't a intuition about the other person that connects you. They found theirs because Sayori realized how much the staging of the social situation is just so overwhelming for Yuri, and that's the area that she feels like she really struggles in. The conversations feel like a puzzle or a maze to figure out how to navigate, and Sayori kind of broke that down. She became someone easy to talk to, mainly because she was being non-judgmental. And I also see this not just as a point of growth for Yuri, but also for Sayori, who I think demonstrated some internal validation for herself. Again, to that question, what did you have to overcome to allow yourself to get vulnerable with Yuri, to just go through that whole scene? Well, one of the things she had to overcome was her desire to please and to make her smile and to make her happy. And those were actually results that she got anyways. But her usual tactics of doing those things, just sort of trying to shapeshift into an exact copy of the other person almost, that's not the strategy she chose. She chose something completely different, which was being vulnerable herself, sharing her own struggle that she related to. And she came out of that conversation reflecting on something she's not really happy about herself, but didn't come out damaged from it. She probably came out feeling more confident about it. And same thing here, making that commitment to, I will tell you if I'm not enjoying it. Old Sayori would never do that shit. Oh, and it's not good to touch people without their consent first. Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. Oh, you didn't. I mean, I suppose it was kind of nice. Not beating the allegations, Yuri. I was just saying. I'm back. Monika's back! I haven't seen you, like, at all recently. Sayori trots over to Monika. She whispers loudly, "Can I hug you?" Sure, Sayori. Sayori wraps her hands around Monika. Oh yeah, Yuri, it might be good to know. Sayori can be kind of a hug monster. Hey, don't call me a monster. Artemis is a monster. If he inherits the kingdom, it could spell disaster. That must be from Yuri's book. Yuri laughs. Monika perplexedly looks between the two of them and smiles. Well, I'm glad you've been enjoying your reading so far. It's like our first real activity as a literature club. About that. Well, you've been so patient with exploring my interests. I think that it would be inconsiderate of me not to return the favor to you and to learn about the things that you like. Yes! Do you like poetry? Oh. Yuri smiles. What a nice segue into another bit of lore. A very happy lore. I know that, like, canonically, this stuff isn't really all that connected to the main game. Like, it's not a prequel in that sense, but I think the idea that poetry becoming part of the literature club and really Yuri picking this up as an interest because of that moment of attunement with Sayori and learning a better way to connect with people. That it doesn't have to be saying the right thing at the right time. One part is accepting yourself, and another is allowing other people to accept you. Because one of the things that Yuri fights so much with herself is this idea that she's too weird to be likable. That's not the case, you know, for any of the people that she's interacted with so far, and she'll have to learn that other people are going to accept you in ways that you don't accept yourself yet. Not only is that okay, but it might even help you get there yourself. Okay, friends. That's the end of Understanding. Another lovely little detour into these characters who I want to say I knew so well from having spent so much time with them, but so many more layers to them. And it looks like the next one, oh, it's going to be so good. Natsuki and Monika. Maybe one of my most anticipated. Actually, the last one, maybe. But they're all so good. I'm glad that they all have one together. In any case, I'm not quite ready to say goodbye to these characters or these stories, so I'm glad we have quite a few of them left to get to. For now, though, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you for watching. As always, be good to yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye.